I feel like people are either going to love this or hate me for saying it. But what are you gonna do? What's up, everybody? I'm Tara Wellman. This is Birdseeds, and the Cardinals still can't climb back to 500. But they're also still not out of the NL Central race, because baseball is weird. So the trade deadline is coming up mighty fast, as is my birthday, now that you mention it. And all anyone wants to know is how are John Mozeliak and Mike Girsch going to make the team better? And for when? Now? Or later. But to be honest, I think it was made very clear this week that there's a much bigger problem than any single trade can fix right now. And I'm really not even trying to be dramatic, I promise. But Mozeliak himself, the president of baseball operations, came out this last week and said that the attitude and the culture of this team needs some serious work. That seems like a pretty big problem to me. Now, I don't know what it was like to be a Cardinals fan in the 70s or the 80s when the team was really bad for a really long stretch of time. But I do know that you don't become an organization known for a particular approach or a specific attitude or a palpable culture by accident. The legacy of Cardinal baseball is what it is on purpose. And that might seem very obvious, but bear with me, I'm trying to make a point. The legends of Cardinal lore played hard, expected success, and respected the game, the organization, their teammates, and the fans to such a degree that they held themselves responsible for the product on the field. But that sense of expectation didn't just show up one day. They were taught that standard. And that, I think, is a very important piece of this whole culture problem puzzle. See, Mozeliak also said that basically, he blames the players for the attitude and culture problem. I disagree. Baseball is chock full of players who've made careers out of being good clubhouse guys. But how many of those guys get stuck playing for teams that aren't very good because they can't fix it themselves? The Cardinals brought in Dexter Fowler really to be that guy that changed the dynamic in the clubhouse. But other than changing the spring training soundtrack, mostly by giving them one, I don't know that that's really worked out like Mo had planned. And it's not Dexter's fault. The front office filled this clubhouse with really nice guys, which seems great until they're all too nice to keep each other in check. And that's not really their fault either. Let's face it, the product on the field has gone consistently downhill until this year. I'm not sure there's one area of fundamental baseball that this team does well, which is insane for a team of major league players who have been playing this game basically their entire lives. You can try to tell me that chemistry doesn't really matter, but I think it's quite obvious that something besides talent does. And if you need an example of that, look no further than Yadier Molina. Watch how he played in the World Baseball Classic and then later in the All-Star Game. Watch how he's played at home. Then try to tell me there's not a bigger problem than baseball IQ. Winning hides a lot of flaws, and while the Cardinals have won their fair share of games in the Mike Matheny era, I would argue that they've lost something even more valuable: their identity. Oh, they have an identity. They're the team that finishes second in major acquisition attempts. They're the team that doesn't allow fun to be had. They're the team that can't run the bases. They're the team that today's superstars don't even want to play for. Does winning solve all of that? Or does solving that lead to winning? And whose job is it to figure that out? Believe me, I get the players play argument, because they do. But we've also argued for years, based on comments by John Mozeliak himself, that what Mike Matheny brought to the table as a manager of a major league team was his ability to inspire, to understand, to encourage, to nurture a winning environment for guys from all walks of life. It's incredibly naive to continue to believe that that's actually happening. It's also incredibly frustrating to watch the guys at the top continue to insist that it's not Mike Matheny's fault. Please don't misunderstand me. I have lots of issues with the roster construction on this team, and that's not on Matheny. I have lots of issues with guys running into outs on the base paths and not hitting the cutoff man. That's not on Matheny. I have problems with guys who can't hit situationally. That's not totally on Matheny. But the clubhouse culture? How is that not his job? A long time ago, in a land far, far away, I played on a team that had a definite attitude and culture problem. Now, as the athletes, we perpetuated that for sure. We were the visible manifestation of this major internal crisis. But it didn't stem from us. The problem started at the top and everyone knew it. That entire season, no one did anything about the source of the attitude problem or the creator of that damaging culture. And guess what? Our season was terrible, and it didn't get better. But it wasn't because we simply weren't good enough. So it's about time the man at the top acknowledged the attitude and culture problem that exists. So good on Mo for that. But it has to go further than that. He can't just blame the players, say this team isn't worth investing in, and then walk away feeling vindicated because he talked real tough. He has to back up those words with some kind of action, or they mean nothing. I'm not suggesting those changes will be easy, or that they'll happen overnight, or even this season. But there has to be movement in that direction, or the already restless fans are gonna just stop showing up. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, now your team fire Matheny too? Well, I wouldn't be mad if that happened. But at the very least, I'd like Mo to stop making excuses for his manager who has clearly lost control of the organization's identity. Look, there's a reason that people say a team tends to reflect its manager, and you're not gonna like this comparison, but the Chicago Cubs are the kooky, out-of-the-box, #fun team in baseball as a direct result of an emphasis on that kind of culture by their manager. Now, I know they're not winning a whole lot this year either, but the point remains. I know as well as you do that the Cardinal Way label gets thrown around a lot like the "That's Cub" hashtag. So I get that there's a bit of a stigma, but honestly, I'm not sure the Cardinals of 2017 would even know what the Cardinal Way was if it ran them over. Obviously running first to third on a base hit because that's the Cardinal Way, not the 2017 way. Something like that. Like it or not, that seems to be on Mike. He's there because supposedly he can lead, but his style of leadership isn't working. So Mo, you've identified the problem. Congratulations. But don't ignore the source. Either hold your manager accountable to make some changes, or find a new one. Then see how the players play. I'm Tara Wellman, and I'll see you next time on Birdseeds. If you missed last week's episode, go ahead and click right here to go straight there. And if you want to make sure that you never miss an episode of Birdseeds, click subscribe.